Imagine if Jim from The Office went on to become a successful movie director, had a massive couple of hits in the horror genre, and then decided to make a family-friendly kids movie worthy of the best Pixar offerings. Well, you don't need to imagine, because that's what If is. Written and directed by John Krasinski, yes, Jim from The Office, who also directed A Quiet Place and A Quiet Place Part 2. He's also got a small supporting role in this movie. If tells the story of B, short for Elizabeth. Wait, is that a spoiler? I don't think that's a spoiler. Speaking of spoilers, the opening 10 minutes of this, I'm going to gloss over that because they don't show that in the trailers. There is quite a lot of story in the opening 10 minutes. It's quite emotional. Again, I don't think they showed it in the trailers, which is a good thing. So well done, marketing team of Paramount, I think it was. So glossing over the opening 10 minutes of the movie. After that, we catch up with Bea when she is 12 years old. She's moved in with her gran back to her family home in New York, in Manhattan. She's moved in there because her dad is in hospital for what he says is a routine surgery and he'll be fine. Obviously, Bea is a little bit more worried than that. While she's back at her childhood home, she bumps into Ryan Reynolds' character, who I think is called Calvin. Calvin isn't alone. He's got a couple of friends with him. They are imaginary friends. Chief among them, we have Blue, a giant furry purple alien, kind of reminiscent of Sully from Monsters, Inc. He's voiced by Steve Carell. And then we also have Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character, who's called Blossom, I think. She's the kind of Betty Boop porcelain doll type character. I'm just going to double check that. Yes, Blossom is the name of her character. Turns out imaginary friends are real. At least they're real for the kids who invent them. That is until those kids stop thinking about them, stop believing in them, stop, imagining them. And then they don't quite disappear, but they do potentially end up, at least some of them, in a kind of imaginary friend retirement home. And it's here that Bea, along with Ryan Reynolds' Calvin, kind of team up and become matchmakers for these retired imaginary friends. Bea kind of takes on the role of apprentice to Ryan Reynolds' character, and they go about the task of matchmaking imaginary friends who are no longer used or played with by their original kids, matchmaking them with new kids. And, fun and hilarity ensues. That's pretty much it. Plot-wise, I'm dancing around a few key story points and a few key spoilers because, as I said, I don't think they were touched on in the trailers, so I don't want to give too much of that away. But yeah, story-wise, that's pretty much it. But is it very good? Is it very good? Is it any good? That's probably a bit of a spoiler. Yes, it's very good. If is very good. Right off the bat, Bea, who's played by Kaylee, what's her name? Where is it? Kaylee Fleming. She's phenomenal in this. And if, like me, you spent 3/4 of the movie racking your brain figuring out where you knew her from, it is from The Walking Dead. She's Judith, Rick's daughter in The Walking Dead. So, you can put that out of your mind. That's where you know her from. Yeah, she's brilliant in this. She does a lot of the heavy lifting, a lot of the emotional heavy lifting in this movie. The trailers kind of make it out to be like a double act, like a Ryan Reynolds movie with this little girl. It's kind of the opposite. It's a Kaylee Fleming movie with Ryan Reynolds. Now, that's not to say he's a supporting character, but it's less of a double act than you would think. And Ryan Reynolds is the second part of that double act. The lead of this movie, I think, is Kaylee Fleming. And she does a really good job considering, she's just a child. More than one occasion throughout this movie, I was getting choked up and fighting back the tears because you could see the emotion and the, tears on her face. And, that's hard to fake. So, well done. She did a brilliant job. Ryan Reynolds does a good job as well. It's not a huge stretch for him. He's doing what he does best. He's doing what we love him to do. And that is, be Ryan Reynolds. And no one plays Ryan Reynolds like Ryan Reynolds. That's not to diss Ryan Reynolds. I think he's a good actor, but he's not really stretching here. He's very much playing to his strengths, and those are good strengths. As good as the human cast are, the voice cast deserve a huge shout out here, especially the two main ones, as I said, Steve Carell and Phoebe Waller-Bridge. They're both brilliant in this. I don't think it was motion capture. I think it was just voice roles. Like when you look at the behind the scenes stuff, it's just them doing voice roles. I'm not sure if they did motion capture. The animators deserve a huge shout out as well, because they brought the emotion of, a giant purple furry alien and a porcelain ballerina doll to life. The animation matched with their voices. Those characters just shine through the screen as well and deliver great performances. So both the voice cast and the animators deserve a huge shout out. I would say, like a lot of the best Pixar movies, this is really two movies playing together concurrently at once. You've got on the face of it, you've got the kids movie with the colourful characters and the funny jokes and the pratfalls and all of that stuff. But then at the same time, going along, kind of interwoven with that, you've got the more adult story about growing up, about grief, about loss, about thinking about your mortality, your parents' mortality, your kids' mortality. A lot of that will go over the heads of younger children, but a lot of that will be front and centre for any of the adults watching, especially parents watching. That'll really hit them quite hard, as it hit me quite hard. The CGI is pretty top quality in this movie as well. There's a lot of blending of real world action and CGI action. You can't really see the seams all that much. There was one or two moments where hands are trying to touch each other, and a CGI hand and a human hand, and it doesn't stand out as being bad, but obviously you can spot a little bit of the seams there, but not in a detrimental way. I think it's as flawless as CGI can get in a movie like this, especially given in recent years, we've had some less than stellar CGI from big budget movies. Flash, Indiana Jones. The cinematography as well shines, like figuratively and literally. And I'm not talking about the CGI moments. It's the real world elements and shots in this movie kind of have like a magical realism, like subtle fantasy look about them. So I don't know whether that was CGI or whether that was just like the genius of the cinematographer, which was Janusz Kaminski. Apologies if I'm butchering that name. He's worked on a lot of Steven Spielberg movies, from I think Ready Player One way back to Schindler's List, and more recently The Fabelmans. So the kind of the shots of like the New York streets with the sun in the background and the leaves on the autumn leaves on the ground and on the floor and on the street, all of that just looked beautiful. So shout out to the cinematography as well. It's kind of Inside Out meets Up meets Who Framed Roger Rabbit. That would be the the mashup 10-second elevator pitch. The whole family went to see this. Myself, my partner, two of our children, the two younger ones, the 7-year-old and 10-year-old. All of us really enjoyed it. Myself and my partner, as I said at the start, were fighting back tears. Sometimes we failed at fighting back the tears. The 7-year-old, I believe, gave it 8 out of 10. The 10-year-old gave it 7 out of 10. My partner gave it a 9 out of 10. I'm going to average that out and I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10 for John Krasinski's If. It's really good. It's a really good family movie. Kids will enjoy it. Adults will enjoy it. I would venture to say adults will enjoy it even more than kids. As I said, there's the two strands, two movies kind of playing concurrently throughout this movie. You've got the kids movie, which kids will enjoy, and you've got the adult elements, which adults will enjoy and appreciate, and they both kind of are intertwined and go through the movie very, very well. I got to see this a week earlier than its scheduled release here in the UK. I'm not sure if there's been preview screenings elsewhere. I don't think it's out until next week, but in the UK at the weekend they'll sometimes do advanced screenings on a Saturday and a Sunday prior to the Friday release. So yeah, we got to see that. So thanks to Cineworld and all the cinemas that put those screenings on, we got to see it a little bit earlier. The time that we saw it though, it was a late morning Saturday showing on an unseasonably warm day here in Scotland. So there was a grand total of 7 people in the screen. 4 of them were us. Hopefully that's not indicative of the box office that this movie's going to bring in, because it's a really good movie. It deserves to bring in money, and it's nice to see a movie like this, like a Pixar-esque movie that's not based on like an existing IP or a franchise. It's a fresh story, so it's really good. I hope it does make money and they make more movies like this. That's us, folks. Thanks very much for watching. If you like this content, hit that like button. If you want to see more like this, you can always subscribe, and I will catch you in the next video.